Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the OC Gridiron Show. It is the quarterfinals, Steve. You and I are coming off kind of a rough week with our predictions. We went 2-3, but as you like to say, we are picking tight, competitive games. That's what this competitive equity model in its year 3 is all about. We missed on a couple competitive games, that maybe could have won either way. But how are you feeling going into this quarterfinal round?
I'm always confident but wary. Okay. And let me tell you something. And I mentioned this on Twitter is that, for example, El Dorado, Laguna Beach, we both picked Laguna Beach to win that game. And
yes,
generally, I think when all things are sort of equal, a team with a passing game, it's hard to prepare for that in practice sometimes to prepare for a passing game thing. And you always have comeback capability when you can throw the football. But, then I was thinking also too is that more teams throw the ball now than like in the 90s.
Sure.
More and more. There's more spread. There's more gunning the ball around. If you got the El Dorado quarterback Nate Bento, if you're practicing against Nate Bento, you're practicing against a guy who can throw the football. So I should have washed that out of my head. And then the other thing is that whenever I pick a team to win, there's always a concern I have about I'm going to be wrong if this happens.
Yeah.
And with that El Dorado Laguna Beach game, it was if El Dorado's offensive and defensive lines play like they did when I saw them beat the heck out of Foothill, I'm in trouble on this pick.
Yeah.
First series, El Dorado's doing all the offensive and defense line stuff. The first couple series, I go, I'm going to mess this up, man. I'm going to miss this. So sure enough, my fears came true. Enough about that. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. El Dorado's on. Congratulations. Hey, one of the teams we picked against, like you mentioned, I think you mentioned, we didn't get Trabuco Hills right. So let's start off with the Mustangs that beat Newport Harbor. And this takes us to Division 4, Steve. And Trabuco's been a hard team for me to figure out. They were in Division 6 last year. They graduated Will Burns. So I'm wondering how they're going to be. And they've had some, they've been pretty consistent, but I feel like sometimes I have them on my radar and then they have a pretty lopsided loss to Tesoro. But then they come back and win the Seaview League, and then by upsetting San Juan Hills. And they got some players that maybe, like Taylor Bowie is a really good running back. And I know about Ryan Lucy as a really good receiver, and Jacob Perry, he's stepped in at quarterback. So they've been a hard team for me to read, but it kind of goes right into this week because one of the teams they play this week host to Lucerna. Really good team in Division 4 here. And these teams have a common opponent. It's Tesoro. And Lucerna came down to Tesoro and won, and that's a team that really kind of handled Trabuco Hills. Seems like it's dangerous to pick against the Mustangs, but who do you have in this game?
I picked Lucerna to win the whole thing a couple of days ago. So I've got to stick with the Lucerna dudes. They beat Tesoro 30-17. So that impresses me pretty good right there. The teams they've lost to, scrolling through and looking at the teams they lost to. Lost to Los Al, lost to Warren, which just beat a really good Tustin team. So I got to go with the Lucerna on this one. But, Trabuco Hills, what a gritty win they had last week. But I got to go with Lucerna. Yeah.
I'm also picking Lucerna, and I feel like I'm going to be wrong, and the Mustangs are going to continue to impress. I mean, they did really well last week in beating, I thought, a really talented Newport Harbor team. Hey, let's go to Division 1. Division 1 wasn't playing last week, Steve. They had the bye, so they're essentially into their, they're an 18 bracket. They're in the quarterfinals, and there's a few games we could have talked about here in Division 1, but we're going to go with Orange Lutheran on the road at Centennial Corona in D1. So our Lancers, they're a pretty interesting team. They tied for third in the Trinity League with Jay Serra. Now they're taking on Centennial that has beat Santa Margarita of the Trinity League, lost their season opener to Mater Dei. So we know how good the Huskies are. They got Chris Hatcher, one of the top running backs around. There's a really good junior quarterback matchup here with Hassan Longstreet of Centennial and TJ Latif, who played pretty well last week or 2 weeks ago against St. John Bosco. And this is an interesting spot too, I think, for the Lancers, Steve, because you look at this. Olu, coming off a bye, just like Centennial. But Orange Lutheran has played their last 2 games. They played Bosco and Mater Dei back to back.
Yep.
How brutal is that? But that they could be, gotten better and improved right in time before the playoffs. And they also got back Gerard Moe, who's been out most of the season, all county defensive tackle. That's going to be a pretty good front as they're going to try to take on Hatcher and Longstreet. But do you think Orange Lutheran could pull an upset here in this one? What do you think?
I think of all the Division I games that we're looking at, Dan, I think that Orange Lutheran has the best chance of pulling the upset. San Clemente Bosco, San Clemente's tough, but Bosco, man, if they play anything like you and I saw when they beat Mater Dei, that they played pretty darn perfect, right? So I don't see an upset there as much as I like San Clemente's running game and Aiden Rubin and that great offensive line. Yeah. And then, Mater Dei, everybody's worried about Mater Dei. Wherever you and I go, we're what's wrong with Mater Dei? What's going on with Mater Dei? They lost a game, guys, to a really good team. Relax. They're going to be okay. So I see Mater Dei, and they beat JCR 42-zip in league. But yeah, Centennial just seems to have too much going, and they play really well at home. Remember, they gave Mater Dei a pretty good go at home back in week 0, back in August. But, and I think Orange Lutheran's a year away, Dan. I think they're probably a year away from being what they're next year. They're going to be going to next year. They might go into Centennial and win, but this year maybe not. I'm going with Centennial.
Yeah, I'm also picking Centennial. So we agree on the first 2 ones. I also in D1. I think Santa Margarita is going to go up to Sierra Canyon and play pretty well. Eagles they did okay in their recent game against Mater Dei, closing out, and we're kind of surprising there. And of course they got Trent Mosley, but we'll see how they do. But I'm picking Centennial. I just think I feel like Orange Lutheran, you might be right that they might be a year away. I feel like they battled a lot of injuries, kind of got out of their flow, and it might be a little bit too tough for them to put it all together here back for a huge performance. So and I think Centennial is pretty good, but that could be an interesting game. All right, so let's finish up, Steve, by talking about Division II, which is maybe the most the most exciting division in the Southern Section playoffs, maybe the most competitive. It's been heavily talked about, and we got 3 good games on our on Division II. How about this one, Steve? Oaks Christian out of the Marmonte League coming down to take on Mission Viejo. Now the Diablos just beat an undefeated team in Palos Verdes.
Yes.
In the first round, and Mission Viejo's offense is really coming on. They scored 59 points last week, and it's coming on since they had that stumble against San Clemente where they only scored 10 points. And they got Trudeau and Fahey playing well in their quarterback rotation. Got Dijon Lee out there playing at receiver, kind of helping out, spark the offense. And Oaks Christians, they're tough though. They're only 2 losses: Sierra Canyon and Sierra Gardena, playing a really good schedule. So you think the Diablos get on to the semis in Division II?
Yeah, I like the Diablos at home in this game, Dan. You mentioned the defensive backfield, Trey Tomer and Dijon Lee and Jr., et cetera, and all those guys. And, I keep not wanting to like that 2 quarterback system over there. I keep wanting to not like it. But Drayden Trudeau and Luke Fahey, both those guys can go. They're both good. And, it's like one game, it's like, Trudeau's the better guy. I think he should be the starter, Chad Johnson. And then, the next week, Fahey plays the best of the 2 of them. And they're both pretty even, game to game. But there's your guy, Coach Chad Johnson. Luke Fahey, go with him the rest of the way. No, Chad's not listening to me. So these guys just keep winning football games. I like Mission Viejo at home to win this game, and watch Fahey and Trudeau make me look stupid again and both have great games, and boom, there they go on their way to the semis.
Yeah, they've been lights out. They both threw 3 touchdowns last week. And I think for the playoffs, I mean, they are, since this run, I should say, since San Clemente lost, these guys have been pretty much lights out. Not making, they're really completing a high percentage of passes. Yep. So, another duo that's doing well with the quarterback rotation under the radar is at La Habra. What La Habra is doing with Salcido and their freshman Mitchell. those guys are playing pretty well, and that's something working for Coach Mazzotta there. But back with Mission Viejo, I'm also picking the Diablos to win,
Okay.
get to the Division II semifinals. Hey, here's another good one in Division II. This is the game I'm going to be covering on Friday night. Los Alamitos going up to Serra of Gardena. So I think this is another really barn burner type game. I'm excited to see the Griffins. I haven't seen them since early in the season against Servite, but they're going to be being faced a really good running back recently committed to San Jose State. Running back at Serra, Rainey, is like a 1,500-yard rusher. They've got Zachariah Williams, skill guy, return to kickoff for a touchdown, opening kickoff last week for Serra. But this would be a big one for Los Alamitos to try to get to the Division II semifinals as well. Who do you got in this one, Steve?
David Mitchell came back and played last week for Los Alamitos. That Oklahoma committed, right? Tight end over there. Had missed a couple of games because of a turf toe injury. Came back, caught a handful of balls, and got some yardage going like that. And I'm a big Alonzo Esparza guy. I really like the quarterback. So and the defense is fast. They're really good. So I like, even though Serra's not, this game's at Serra High School in Gardena. Yep. Tough place for visitors, but I think Los Al's talent level is good, is really good. I was impressed how well they played against Edison a couple of weeks ago, Dan. And I think they're on a roll, and I think they continue that roll and get the W.
Yeah, I'm also picking the Griffins. I think it's going to be a close, really close game, though. And but yeah, I'm interested to see how Los Al's putting all these pieces together. They maybe even might be kind of peaking toward the end of the season. They kind of caught fire in the Sunset League, and then got the victory last week, and here they go. All right, and here's a game that you're going to be at, Steve, also in Division II. Here we are. We're talking about 3 Division II games. I love it. Servite back at home as well at Cerritos College, playing host to Long Beach Poly. So Poly and Servite, pretty good. There's been some playoff rivalry games in the past. This is a pretty good clash. Long Beach Poly, they're the number 2 seed in this bracket. They beat Mission Viejo. I saw them earlier this year. I like Darius Curry. I think he's a competitive quarterback. He can run it. He can come up with some clutch passes. I like the way he competes. That's what he did against Mission Viejo. He'll do a lot of small things, with using his legs, third down plays. He's a competitor. I like him a lot. And then I really like Kamari Smith, one of their receivers. He just went crazy on Mission Viejo. So, and then you got Servite that bounced back from that 49-0 loss to Jay Serra in week 10. That was kind of a stunner, but they did a lot of things correctly last week in beating Valencia in the first round. Yeah. And it's playing really well for Servite. They're really running well with Quade Carr, their junior running back, and they got some playmakers on defense as well last week. So who do you got in this one? This is the one you'll be covering for us here at OCVarsity.
Okay, so here's my look at the game. Darius Curry made a couple mistakes early on in the game last week, and they advanced. But you're right about that guy. He's Colorado State commit. Darius Curry, very good running back, a very good quarterback, rather. Yeah. Here's the thing for Servite for me is that pretty young team, and if they are playing right alongside or even ahead of Long Beach Poly early, and they get that Servite confidence mojo thing going, look out. They're going to be trouble. But if they can't keep up with Poly pretty early, Poly goes up 14-0, 14-7, 21-7, something like that, then it's going to be very difficult for Servite to win. But if Servite gets that confidence going early, then they're going to be in this game, and it's going to come down to, it's going to be like 30-27 or something, 33-30, something like that. But I think that Poly's going to jump ahead. They are jackrabbits after all, yeah? So I think they jump ahead and they continue and they win this football game. Okay. And if I'm firing up the Servite people by saying that, I've written more pregame speeches than Bill Belichick.
I thought you were going to come back and say that the Poly was going to take the lead early and the Servite was going to rally and have a fantastic comeback like they have they've had a couple of those at Cerritos College this year.
Wouldn't put it past them. Wouldn't put it past them. But really, I think Paulie with the speed all over the place and the passing game, I'm going with the Jackrabbits, man.
Yeah, I'm also picking Paulie. I was impressed with them against Mission Viejo. I thought Diablos gave them a pretty good shot down early in the season at Veteran Stadium, and I thought Mission played all right. I know they thought they could have played better, and they had a couple of mistakes. They had, turnovers will be important. That's one of the things that really hurt Mission against Paulie. In that really close game, they had an interception in the end zone, among other things. So they're going to have to really compete. But this should be a really exciting game. I think both teams will compete. You're going to in for a great game. So we both pick Paulie. We agree on all our picks this week. I don't know what that means, Steve, because last week like you said, we went 2-3. So we'll see how we go.
Well, if we're going to flub, Dan, let's flub together, shall we?
That's right. We are partners after all. And
right.
We'll see. We'll be back next week to talk about the semifinals. So, well, hey, hope everybody enjoys these dramatic games.
Yeah. Hey, Dan, when I haven't talked to you in a while. When are you going up to Angel Stadium and interviewing for the manager job? When is that? I forgot. You told me. I forgot.
I'm waiting for the news to break on if Shohei Ohtani will be on the team. So, if they re-sign him, then I will be right there front and center.
Oh, take a look at what I got over here, Dan.
Okay. The dual bobblehead. Yes.
I think it's going to be wearing blue with an LA on it.
Well, I am big fans of our baseball team. Maybe not as big a fan as you are. You're one of the most devout I know, but it is kind of heartbreaking, seeing the Rangers and the Astros win these World Series in recent years out of the
whatever
American League West. That's what I always tell people, they have to do better in their own division. Which is a tough division.
It is.
Seattle
too missed the playoffs by 2 games. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. Well, Angels. Thank the Lord for 2002, man. I'm okay. Scar tissue is not so bad now.
Here's the best prediction, I guess. Well, let's end our show in the prediction business. Where do you predict that Shohei is going to sign? Is he going to be in Dodger
LA.
blue? Is he going to be with the Red Sox?
Yeah, like I said with
Padres?
my bobblehead guys, it's going to be blue with an LA on top of this thing.
Friars got the Dodgers with that signing. So
yeah,
all right, we'll see how Steve does on that pick. We'll see how we both do in our football picks. And thanks for joining us here on OC Varsity.